and you're running for a mayoral candidate this year, and you're also city council president. So we're going to talk about your journey.
It's been a journey.
Yeah,
It's been a journey.
okay. We're going to talk about your journey and how you got to where you are. We're going to start off with where were you born?
I was born in the city of Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Many, many years ago.
And where did you go to school at?
So, I have come from a large family. I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. So my elementary school was James Cousin. We kind of moved around. My father had a goal of getting us to Northwest Detroit. So it was a journey there. And then for the 2 elementary schools was Noble, James Cousin, and then I went to Fitzgerald, and then I went to Noble Junior High, and that's where the bug for getting involved politically came from when I was in the 7th grade. And then I ended up graduating from Cass Technical High School, which is the best high school in Michigan.
Okay. Okay. What was that educational journey like for you?
You know, when I was younger, I was super smart. So back in those days, if you had a child that excelled, they would double promote you.
Okay.
So I was double promoted twice.
All
I
right.
skipped some grades, and they wanted me, I skipped 2 grades. So I went from the 2A to the 3A, and then I went from the 3A to the 4A, and then they wanted to double promote me again. Mother said no, that I would have been age-wise so much younger than a lot of my colleagues in high school, and so she kept me back. She did not let them promote me again, and so I was double promoted. I graduated from high school at 16, but my grade point average did not reflect that, and I finally realized, because I was double promoted and most of the kids around me were so much older than me, when I got to Cass Tech, I didn't want to study, and so I basically made it through on the hairs of my chinny chin chin.
Wow. Wow. And on that note, we're going to mention we're also live with Worship Radio stations, where we also have another radio station that also extends Murphy's, Let's Talk Education show on the radio. So we're actually live with them right now.
Okay.
Yes.
You got it going on, Opal.
How does being a council president tie into your thoughts on the importance of education?
You know, being a council president and just being in the political arena, it takes a lot of reading and a lot of comprehension and a lot of quick decision making. And so that comes from really having a background of loving to read and really a comprehension in reading and being able to decipher information that comes your way. So education is very, very important. I believe, you know, just being in the political arena.
Okay. Right now you hold the seat of City Council President. Can you tell us about that?
So the position of City Council President, I'm elected among my peers to be the president. And the president of the City Council in Southfield, we decide on the agenda. We set the agenda. We make sure that all council persons are knowledgeable on the issues that we'll be discussing. I work directly with our city administrator. There's a different form of government in many cities, like take for instance, the city of Detroit. They have a strong mayor, which means the mayor dictates the wishes, moves the city. Well, in Southfield, we have a strong city administrator and a weak mayor, but the council president has a lot of power in terms of directing the agenda and things of that sort. So that's how the position of council president operates.
So, as it stands today, on a more personal note, how did you get here, and what were some of the struggles that you suffered along the way in pursuing your career path?
That's a good question, because struggle is a good word to use. The first time I ran for city council, I lost.
Okay.
The second time I ran for city council, I lost.
Wow.
The third time I ran for city council, I lost. What? I was a three-time loser. But with who I am in my DNA, I'm a person of persistence and perseverance and just not quitting because somebody tells you no. That doesn't mean that no is forever. And so it just gave me more energy to keep on going. And so with the losses that were on my record, I still had a vision to get involved in the city that I lived in and to make sure that our city stayed a cutting edge city. And I knew that my education, my background would really benefit being in the position. I did my undergrad degree at Michigan State University in urban development and city planning. So I have just a love for cities and to see cities thrive and survive. And so that I knew that if I could, my background was also motivating me. You've done this, you learned this stuff. And so that was the compelling force behind me. But the losses were there as well. So sometimes in life you're faced with challenges. But you have to keep going.
Absolutely.
And as I said, when I was in high school, I didn't want to work. I didn't want to study. My teachers would give me assignments, and I'd give them back to them the same way they gave it to me because I said, I don't want to write a paper.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to do the work. And so when I graduated, my grade point average was severely low. But yet in my heart, I knew I could do college if given the opportunity. And so I had a cheerleader in my corner, my youth pastor, that said, you know what, we're going to find you a college. And he did. They found me a small Christian college in Huntington, Indiana, that would accept me on probation and would allow me to just demonstrate that I could do college work. And I succeeded by making the dean's list both semesters. And I went on and transferred to Michigan State University.
Okay,
and
wonderful.
Graduated there.
That's absolutely wonderful. Okay, let's talk education. Have talked with some students, college students, high school students around the metropolitan area, and they say that school did not prepare them for college. What do you think, or what are your thoughts about the education?
Well, you know, because education has changed over the last, umpteen years, I felt that once I got to college, that I was prepared. You know what I mean? Because again, I barely graduated from high school, but when I got to college, I was able to do the work. To me, it's different now because there's so many other dimensions in that whole educational piece. But I think a person has to be willing to lock in and do what it takes. So it means if you get to college and you feel that you're not prepared, go for a tutor. Don't just sit there and suffer, which a lot of people do. They feel that, I don't know the work.
Your channel.
Well, you find your learning style because many times schools today only teach one learning style. So then when they get to college, they've not developed what their style of learning is. And so I think once you lock into what your learning style is, you can be successful.
You mentioned the different dimensions that have integrated itself into our education arena. What are some of those dimensions that you think are impacting our learning curve?
Okay, now this is just me. This is what I feel.
Okay, and that's what we want to know.
Okay, good. When I was growing up, I learned math and I learned my multiplication tables. And I started with the ones. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 2. And then you graduated, and then until you learned all the way up to 12.
Okay.
Now in math, in some of the curriculums that I've seen, it's not line upon line. It's not precept upon precept. It's not you master one component first. They've thrown in everything together. And let me tell you, I was helping out a friend of mine's grandchild. This was about a year ago, 3rd grade math. And I looked at the sheet of paper and I was confused because they did division, they did multiplication, they were doing decimal points, all in one sitting for homework.
Okay.
Now, what would that do? That confused me.
Okay.
So to me, I saw it as confusing the child as opposed to, learn your multiplication tables first, and then let's go over to division. And then, geometry is in ninth grade, 10th grade. You're not doing geometry early. Now, I'm old school, because I think you've got to learn, you've got to build the foundation first. And so that's what I don't see that foundation built first. I'm not saying all schools are like that, but I'm just saying I've seen that.
One of our goals here on Let's Talk Education is to express the
User was moved out of your channel.
and the connection between a job or a career choice. What would you say that education, careers and jobs, would you say that education and careers and jobs go hand in hand?
I think so. I came from a family where my father had a 10th grade education. And so he demanded that all of his children go to college. And every last one of his children went to college. Now, I've had a few brothers that didn't graduate, and that's fine. But they did find, jobs that fit them. I am of the belief that education is extremely important and it's necessary to really advance your life. But the industry that we're in now and the atmosphere that we're in now is that you can find a great job and make some good money and have a good living and really sustain yourself as well. So yes, I believe education is number one. We pushed our children, my husband and I, we demanded that our children go to college. And get a degree and really sustain themselves educationally. But I know that every child may not want to go to college. Every child may not want to go down that career path. But there's some other career opportunities that people can take advantage of, and you still can be successful and have a great life and raise a family and be a contributing adult in society.
Take a short session and give Worship Radio a shout out. You're listening to Worship Radio with Murphy's Educational Center talk show, Let's Talk Education. We're going right back to our questions and answers with Sylvia. Tell our viewers what you are most passionate about what you do. Why are you so passionate about being the next City of Southfield's mayoral candidate?
Boy, these are some great questions. Let me tell you, there are a couple things I'm really, really passionate about. Southfield is a great city, and we are a city of diversity. The homes, our location, the people, we make up a great community. And I want to make sure that we continue to move Southfield forward. We're one of the significant border cities of Detroit, and there's a renaissance that's happening in Detroit. And because of that, Southfield, we're right there as well. We have a lot of international companies and headquarters that are here in our city. And so we're positioned to be the international business hub in this area. So Southfield's got to shine again. And so I want to see that happen. We've got to develop our culture, our nightlife, our entertainment. We've got to continue to make sure that our seniors are safe and that our community pride, everybody takes pride in their city. And then, which is real important to me, is that our small businesses and entrepreneurship, that they are given access to the many bids and contracts that we have in the city of Southfield. And so those are the things that really drive me to want to be the next mayor for the city of Southfield.
Okay. Would you say that, or do you think passion is important in the career choice that students, seniors, individuals make today?
Absolutely, because passion to me is that inner fire that burns and keeps you going. And so if that is lit, you will just continue to move and grow without anybody telling you you need to do this or you need to do that. It comes from within. And so I think if you have a passion for something, that you'll move toward it. And so it's important that everybody really identify the passions that are in them. I think we're in a society that you no longer have to work a job, but you really have to find what motivates you and what you're passionate about and what you love to do. There's a young lady at our church, and I just tip my hat to her. In high school, she was top of the class. She went to a 4-year university, and when she got there, she found out that that was not for her, that university. But she's very passionate about adoption because she found out that her mother was adopted. So now she is passionate about children and orphans. And so she's now come from the university that she was at. She's back home. She's going to get her degree online, but she wants to be at home still working on her nonprofit so that she can expand her dream of helping orphans. Now,
That's wonderful.
I'm telling you,
That is
I
absolutely
tell her,
wonderful.
Taylor, you're inspiring me. Here she is, 19 years old,
Wow.
pursuing a degree, and she wants her degree in nonprofit management.
Okay.
So she wants to have her nonprofit work with orphans and children and reading and literacy and doing it at 19 years old.
Wonderful. So what would you say, or what do you think are some of the career choices that we need here in a renaissance of what's developing and what's transpiring in the metropolitan area?
One is like what she's pursuing, the nonprofit industry. That's a whole nother industry that has great potential, that people can literally get a degree in entrepreneurship, nonprofit. People can explore degrees in or get education in so many different fields. Again, teaching. You know, there's been a lack of people that want to teach. So teaching is still a great career option. IT, in the city of Southfield, last week, we approved a company that's moving from Pleasant Ridge into the city of Southfield, and they're going to be bringing over 300 employees and adding over 100 new jobs, many of them being in IT. So that IT component is still very, very important in terms of education, choices that our young people can make as well. But again, follow your passion.
Okay.
You know, it's there.
It is.
Yeah,
It
my
is.
daughter, just to share a story, my daughter, when she was younger, she wanted to be a doctor. So I arranged for her, my husband and I, to go to Providence Hospital. She wanted to be a cardiologist, to be
Okay.
specific. So I arranged for her to go to Providence Hospital and work with the chief cardiologist for a week. She sat in on open heart surgery. She sat in on a couple surgeries. And at the end of that week, she said, "Ma, I don't want to be a cardiologist. I don't like blood, and that's not it for me." So we said, what are you going to do, Lauren? She said, "I don't know, but it's not going to be being a doctor." So she went on to school, and she's really good in math. So she said, "Well, you know what, I'll just get a degree in statistics." But she loved fashion. That was her passion. So she went ahead and she pursued a degree in statistics.
Your channel was
When she
edited.
came back home, she worked a couple years at a bank, and she said, "You know what? I'm going to really pursue my passion, and that's fashion." And she's done some remarkable things. She started Michigan Fashion Week here in Detroit. She was selected Cranes 2020 for her starting her business. So you got to go with what's in your heart. You really do.
Absolutely. What would you say to someone pursuing a career in politics or to hold a political office?
That's a good question. First of all, with politics, and politics mean, the definition of the word means to govern and to rule. So going into politics means that you're going to, first of all, you got to be a people person, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, many times people go into politics for power. They think, I'm going to have power. But no, you're going in there to really make ordinances and laws and policies that affect the good of the people, and it should be for the good of the people. It should not be for any personal agendas. And so going into it, I think you've got to have a love for people. You've got to have a love for what you're doing, and you've got to go into it for the right reasons. And as you've seen, many people say, well, what they say is all politicians are dirty. And I have a comeback to that. That's not true.
Your channel
It's some
is
of the
edited.
people that go in politics are dirty or don't have the right motives. But for what we do is to govern and to rule. And I think you have to do it from a pure heart. You've got to do it without any motivation. And you've got to do it looking at, is this for the good of the whole? And that's been my mantra.
Okay. You mentioned to govern and to
rule.
rule. What are some of the things that you've helped? What are some of the issues you help address and get things moving? And as a candidate, as mayoral candidate, prior to presidential, city council, as well as sitting on the city council?
On the city council, that's a good question. Some of the things that I've done in the city of Southfield that I could really take ownership of is many years ago, before we were going through the financial downturn, our city administrator at that time contacted me. He said, I really want to put some things in place, but I really want to get your approval as council president. And what we put in place was a stabilization plan, a financial stabilization plan, which meant we would just live on the resources that we have, and that we would not keep going to the bank to survive. And putting in that financial stabilization plan, it helped Southfield today. So by putting that in 2009, we're able to stay financially solid as a city today. And when you look around the state of Michigan, many of the cities that are predominantly African American have faced emergency managers, and they have faced some severe financial challenges. But we put a plan in place, and I'm very proud to champion that plan financially, is that we weren't going to go bankrupt, we weren't going to lay off employees, and we were going to live within our means. And that has happened, and that has kept Southfield solid for not only now, but for the future. I also was very, very instrumental when Catalpa Park, which is now Catalpa Oaks, the county wanted to, was looking for a location to have a county park. And so our state representative came to me and said, can you help us out? Can you champion Southfield, the park that we have in Southfield, to become a Oakland County Park? And so we got in there, and we were able to convert our city park to a Oakland County Park that's in the southern part of Oakland County, which is really, really huge.
Yes.
And I drove by there just the other day. Very, very nice park. Beautiful play equipment for the children. So we're very, very proud to have Catalpa Oaks Park here in the city of Southfield. In addition to the hiring of our police chief, I said, this is the guy, and I held on to that, and he's definitely the right guy for our police chief. I also made sure that we opened up the bidding process on one of our contracts. I found that it had been closed for many years, that the same bidder was getting the job over and over and over again. And I said, that's not right. What about the little business? What about the small business?
Right.
What about the entrepreneur, the young entrepreneur that has his ducks in order too? Shouldn't he have an opportunity to bid on those contracts? So they opened that contract up, and now as a result, we have three businesses that has a share of the pie, except one business getting all the contracts. So I'm very, very proud of that. In addition to, when I was on the city council as a council person, one of the committees that I was on was the neighborhood services. And while on neighborhood services, I championed Southfield having a resident handbook, which means when you move into the city, these are the expectations that we are expecting as a resident.
Those are some significant issues that you have addressed and championed and been successful at. Is there anything else?
Well, you know, there are lots of other things that I've done. But, you know, I really, I'm not one to toot my horn. You know, I just want to make sure we get the job done.
Okay.
You know, I just want to make sure that everybody's living in a good, safe, peaceful environment. You know, I have made sure that our seniors have been safe and secure with our police and fire, making sure that the police and fire have all the tools that they need to successfully keep us safe. And so many, many things that I've done.
Great, great, great. So you're running for mayor, and what would you say for someone that's looking to volunteer on your campaign?
Join us. Join Team Jordan. You know, one thing that I've noted with this campaign is we've got a lot of people that are joining us, and a lot of young people. I served on city council for 16 years. We don't have term limits on city council, but I know that my time is up. I'm one of the youngest people on the city council.
Okay.
Some of my colleagues are 90s, in their 80s. One is approaching 70. So it's time to let the young people come in, because they really are going to lead us, you know, moving forward in our city, which is one of the reasons I'm stepping off of council and running for mayor, to vacate that seat for a young person. Let them come in and continue to direct the city. And I'm also engaging young people because I want to see the young people involved. I want to see them carrying the political baton. You know, we've done so many things for such a long time, but it's time that we've got to pass the baton on.
Okay. Where can they find you if they want to volunteer for your campaign?
So yes, you can go to www.sylviajordan.com and you can reach us and fill out the information there, and we'd love to have you.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to thank you on behalf of Murphy's Educational Center, who produces the show, as well as Let's Talk Education, as well as Worship Radio station here. And that concludes our show for today.
Okay.
And it was wonderful having you on.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Opal. And continue to let's talk about education.
Okay. Thanks.